Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, we have Mr. Adam Guillette, president of Accuracy in Media. Adam, good day, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I don't want to presume what you know or believe about accuracy or inaccuracy in media. So if you would, give us your sentiment and then we will go from there.
Sure, a summary of us as an organization, we use investigative journalism and citizen activism to expose public corruption, fraud, and abuse. A lot of times we use political tactics against cultural targets.
Okay, I'm okay with that. So we're on the same page so far. Now let's dissect the element known as bias, okay? You agree that there is bias in media, and does bias necessarily mean inaccurate? Or do you separate those two in your line of work?
You know, I'll tell you, I don't even so much have a problem with bias per se, because we're all human beings, we all have our own biases. I so much prefer when people are open and honest and upfront with their bias, like a show like yours. And I detest when anybody, regardless of ideology, pretends to be right down the middle, but a blind person could see that they're not. But what I really have a problem with is when people are dishonest, disingenuous, when they knowingly lie to their audience to get attention and get clicks. That's where the real problems lie.
Adam, I'm with you 100%, brother, 100%. So I lecture in mass communications in colleges in mass comm, and I lecture on advocacy journalism, the activist role inside of journalistic realms. So we talk about these things openly, and I say something very similar to what you just said. It's not about the bias, it's about the facts. Don't get the facts wrong in an attempt to manipulate the story. Don't do that, all right? If the facts don't add up, you have to tell the truth. But what we have seen is not biased media. You know, the Constitution does not say, hey, Congress has to create, unbiased media. That's not what it's about. You have this freedom of press, this freedom to deliver content. But you're right, it's the trickery. It's when you say, listen, I'm hardcore news. And then you give a warped reality or a warped story that's simply not only biased, but also inaccurate at its core, right? I'm really interested to know, what do you all believe about things like the election was stolen from Donald Trump and there's a mountain of evidence to prove it? Like when someone on the news makes that comment and it's a news anchor or an anchor of a show, what's you all's reaction to that?
Well, it depends on the staffer, because we don't generally get involved in individual policy wonk debates. For me personally, I don't think the election was stolen. I think Brit Hume summed it up best when he said if it was stolen legally by laws that were changed. And we can debate whether or not those laws should have been changed. But the notion that there were mountains of ballots that were brought in and whatnot, I don't think that happened. And our organization has never run around saying that that's happened. We've never run around defending people saying that that's happened. And there are plenty of people out there who do a great job pointing out when folks lie and say there's voter fraud and there wasn't voter fraud. So for that reason, we don't usually pile on. We try to focus on the targets people aren't already hitting.
Well, let me ask you about those targets. So give me an example of a target that you all would have in your wheelhouse that's not something that would necessarily be in mind.
Sure, I'll give you a couple. So Andrew Cuomo got an Emmy Award. The man was the grandma killer. He was a disgusting disgrace. We now found out today he got the book deal only 3 weeks after the first COVID case was announced. He was a COVID failure and they gave the guy an Emmy Award. It's bad enough to hear political speeches at every award show, but to now have token awards given out to our favorite politician of the day is disgusting. So we went after the Emmys. We sent emails to the board members of the International Television Academy of Arts and Sciences. We sent a mobile billboard to their office saying Cuomo lied, thousands died, revoke his Emmy now. And we played a small part, I imagine, in the fact that he no longer has an Emmy.
Okay, what the hell does that have to do with accuracy in media?
Well, I think giving an Emmy Award to a man celebrating his, they said, press conferences where he educated the public his press conferences were inaccurate. He was lying to people. He was literally covering up the deaths of thousands of senior citizens. It was like a genocide on senior citizens. Another big target we hit is teen vote.
Okay, before you get to that, before you get to your second one, let's deal with the Cuomo thing. And I don't have any love for Cuomo because I do believe he victimized women. So, but I do find it interesting that an organization who says they are for accuracy in media, they are going after a politician who's at this point, I mean, let's be frank, he's a has-been at this point, but going after a politician because of an award they got. Now, if that's what you all do, that's what you all do. I find the title, just think about the irony of this. I find the title to be inaccurate. If you call
Hollywood's an important form of media?
Just allow me to finish my point.
Sure.
When you call yourself accuracy in media, there's a presumption associated with that title that says your mantra, your mission statement or goal is to make sure that there are accurate stories or accurate content inside of media. Am I wrong for presuming that's what your organization will be about?
Well, I think it's wrong to automatically presume that the name of an organization automatically directly defines what they do. I would think that this channel is making kebabs. If I had only ever heard that it was the Young Turks, I would think that maybe I'm getting a donair kebab with some lovely tzatziki. So you sometimes have to know more about it.
You don't think accuracy
I didn't interrupt you, or I did. So we didn't go after Cuomo, to correct what you said. We went after the International Television Academy of Arts and Sciences. I think Hollywood is an impressive.
Nobody gets their media from those guys. What? Help me understand this.
The Emmy Awards don't have viewers.
But so you're not talking about media in the sense of content delivery. That's not what you're talking about there. Your organization is not trying to make sure that there's fairness and accuracy inside of the content. Because when we first started the conversation, you said, hey, I don't like people that call themselves news people and they have a bias. Just tell me who you are, which made me believe that you are an organization that tries to balance the field by making sure that these kinds of organizations or news companies, that they are more accountable to accuracy, even if they are biased.
Well, then I'll give you a more relevant example. You're familiar with Now This, the online news site?
Yeah.
Yeah, Now This built their following, much like BuzzFeed, with clickbait, listicles, and puppy videos. Once they had built up about 10 million followers on Facebook, they pivoted and started putting out quote unquote news that was all hard left. You look into it, you find out that multiple executives at Now This, where did they come from? The DNC, the Stacey Abrams campaign, the Hillary Clinton campaign. If you want to come out and say you're an ideological news site like yours, which I love, that's one thing. But to come out and bring in an audience with clickbait and puppy videos, and then to have DNC staffers putting out hard left news, do you have a problem with that? Is that disingenuous?
Let me ask you, brother, what are your thoughts about Fox News?
I think Fox News, like many news channels, has a lot of opinion shows where people express their opinions on those shows. I don't get bothered by Hannity expressing his opinion any more than I got bothered by Rachel Maddow expressing hers. Those are open news commentary shows.
All right, what about the inaccuracy of Fox News?
Well, anytime one hears an opinion they don't agree with, they view it as inaccurate. I think their hard news shows are some of the best you're gonna find out there. But if you don't like an opinion on a news commentary show, well, those are news commentary shows. That's like complaining about an editorial.
That's untrue. That's untrue. Even in editorial, I happen to be president of a major magazine. Even with editorial, you have a basis for fact. And if you don't have that basis for fact, you should know this if you work as president for accuracy in media. If you don't have a basis for fact, it still lacks journalistic integrity. Even if it is an op-ed, it does still need to have a basis in fact. So we have been able to prove systematically that Fox News, they will lie. Or they will have a guest on the show that lies and they don't challenge the guest that lies. But they still call themselves Fox News. Now you can argue about the opinion shows versus the news shows, okay? And that's a fair debate based on opinion. But when you represent opinion as fact, when you say something is a fact that is not, that is inaccurate. Here's how opinion journalism should work or opinion commentary should work. I give you a set of facts that are not debatable, And then I give you my opinion about those facts and what it means in the larger social context. That's how you do this. I do this every day. So when you have an agency like Fox News that you obviously have overlooked significantly, you mean to tell me that the only agencies that you all have gone after are agencies that tend to be left-leaning? Are there any right-leaning agencies that you all have also called out on your platform, Accuracy in Media?
Let me address both your points. First of all, I think any opinion should be grounded in fact. I think anybody would agree that any opinion should be grounded in fact. So there's no need for a scarecrow argument there. What my point was is that I'm less bothered by the Rachel Maddows and the Hannitys because the viewers tune in knowing what they're gonna get. Now, an opinion, an op-ed, all those should be fact-based, and if they're wrong, and if you're building your opinion based on lies, that's foolish. But if I tune into Maddow, I know what I'm gonna get. So to me, that's less bothersome. If I gotta list my list of things that's gonna annoy me, that's far less bothersome than a hard news show. Now, in terms of do we go after the right-leaning stuff, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you know this or not, I'm not a big right-leaning guy. I'm a libertarian. I got plenty of problems with some Republicans. I got plenty of problems with a lot of things Donald Trump did. But we don't go after the Fox Newses. You know why? Plenty of other people are already doing that. We go after the outlets that nobody else is talking about. I'll tell you, we don't even go after CNN. We don't go after MSNBC that much. We go after Now This, we go after BuzzFeed, we go after Teen Vogue, the outlets that no one else is focusing on, because what's the point of being the 10th one to a party?
Let me ask you this, man, because I find this quite fascinating that you're overlooking, to me, a grand mission that's part of what you do. And that's to make sure that you have an impact so that there's more accuracy in media. I mean, you do want more accuracy in media, correct?
Do you want more kebabs? Again, are we defining everybody by their title? Does Fox News want more Foxes? Sir,
do you want more?
We all want more accuracy in media
content. Okay, you do want more accuracy in media. So over 60% of those who watch Fox News, they actually believe, this is based on pure research, they believe that's hardcore news. You don't have a problem with that?
I'm delighted about that because I think they deliver a far better news product than many other outlets. And I think their hard news shows are fantastic. I don't agree with all of the opinions on the opinion-oriented shows, but as I said, people tune into those knowing what they're gonna get. I'm less bothered by the opinion-oriented outlets. I'm more bothered by the BuzzFeeds and the Now Thises, where they bring people in telling them they're not ideological, but then they push ideology. Isn't that a problem to you?
Adam, think about this. I just cited to you the Pew Research study that shows the vast majority of Fox News viewers, they are not aware, according to the research, that this is opinion commentary as opposed to hardcore news. That's problematic if you're talking about your initial statement about how people perceive the information. Number two, if you're talking about going after BuzzFeed or Now This, that's fine. I understand that. Listen, organizations, anytime we do things publicly, we're gonna get public praise and public ridicule. That's how it works here. But you mean to tell me that with all of the right-leaning news agencies, the smaller right-leaning news agencies, the mid-sized right-leaning news agencies that call themselves news, but they're doing something quite diabolical, your organization has never, not one time, called them out for inaccurate information?
Do you go after Fox News?
Yes.
Do you go after Teen Vogue?
Yes.
You've gone after Teen Vogue?
Yes, when they went after it, I have. I absolutely have. They cited a stat, sir. They cited a stat about a year ago, and I put my foot up their ass on my radio show. Yes, I also went after CNN when they were inaccurate about the reporting of black on black crime. Yes, I went after Democrats. I've gone after Republicans. I'm more accurate in media than you are.
Well, we're not media, so we're an activist organization. So accuracy is swell, but we're not a media outlet. Again, we go after the folks that people aren't generally going after. We don't go after CNN that much. We don't go after MSNBC
but do you go
that
after
much.
Any
there's
of
a million other people doing that.
Right-leaning organizations that are flying beneath the radar, but they have similar following as Now This or BuzzFeed or others, but they're right-leaning.
There's a million other people doing that, and people who go to the Daily Wire, people who go to the Daily Caller know what they're gonna get. Teen Vogue, which professes to be a young women's fashion-oriented magazine, and puts out a series promoting communism. literally communism. That is a bait and switch, my friend.
I don't co-sign on communism. The vast majority of stuff I've read in Teen Vogue has been absolutely accurate because they cite their data source and they cite where the research came from. But I understand this.
Yeah, they have a series called Bread and Roses that pushes Marxism to young girls. The information came from the Communist Manifesto.
I see what you're about.
Great on them for citing it, but that's wacky, man.
Listen, man, you know what's wacky to me? An organization that calls themselves Accuracy in Media, and they are absolutely inaccurate in their.
Where are we inaccurate? What are some instances of our work that were inaccurate?
Absolutely, brother. I answer that question. Have you one time considered going after a right-leaning publication for being inaccurate?
Probably not, because there's people doing that. I've said that point again and again. And let me be clear, just as I said, people should know what they're getting. We don't profess to be an unbiased organization. We're a freedom-oriented organization. But we're not right-leaning. We've got staffers of all ideology on our staff.
Yeah. I appreciate you being on the show, though. Thank you, Adam.
Hey, thank you for having me anytime. It was a good time.
Absolutely.